In true Calgary Flames fashion, we are going to be talking about all the non-traditional ways we will be measuring success this season.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Today, we're going to be dipping our toes into what this season means. I think that this is going to be a little bit of a journey for most people because the Flames have never done a true rebuild, at least not to my knowledge, and most fans agree with that. So I feel like we're going to be going through this process for the first time together as a group and company. And, this is a great time to really buy into the camaraderie amongst the fans. Make sure you are subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. We are here for you through the off season, and we'll be back to daily podcasting before you know it. And let's dive into it. So this is going to be like an ongoing theme, I would say, for the Flames this season, because this is a very different type of success or season that we're going to see, right? Normally, the Flames are a fringe playoff team, and that's the success you're looking for. You're looking to squeak into that last wild card spot. You're hoping that luck runs in your favor and you're able to do, at least make it to the first round, maybe. And that's not the case this year. We're not going to be on the edge of our seats until game 82 because that's just not the team that they're assembling. They're not, there's no Matthew Tkachuk, there's no Johnny Gaudreau anymore. There's Jacob Markstrom's not in net for you. There have been such major changes that have required the Flames to go down this path a little bit, and that's not a bad thing. There is too much talent, though, on this team for them to bottom out like a Chicago, like the Coyotes or the Sharks. And that's kind of a good thing. And I know it's like, well, don't you want the first overall pick? And it's like, yes, of course, but I still want to watch some sort of quality hockey. I don't want to have to turn on my TV and be like, who is this person? And why is the median or the average age of my team 23? That only gets you so far. But the Flames have moved forward with the decision of, moving out expiring free agents that are probably going to cost you money, and players that just don't want to be here. It's as simple as that. They're not handing out long-term contracts. They're not handing out expensive contracts. They're looking to just flirt with a top 10 pick. And I think this year that's really, no one wants their team to lose, right? Realistically, you want to watch a good game. You want to watch a good season. You hope your team makes the championship and wins. However, the Flames are in a very different side of things right now. I would say you're hoping that they pick in the top 10 again. To me, that's a successful season because you need to, kind of restock what's bare and what's, the beginning process of, getting younger, getting faster. You're not running it back like you did, in 2021. You're not doing that. You subtracted Gaudreau and Tkachuk, and you had Huberdeau and Kadri. It felt like it was going to be something reasonable and somewhat comparable, right? But it's not. And it's okay, because this is something the Flames have needed to do. They have needed an overhaul. And to me, this is getting you as close to the foundation of a rebuild as possible. And a rebuild, like, it's not a bad word. It's not, it is a very scary word, because you think of the extreme outliers like an Ottawa, like the Sabres, in terms of that, because you don't want to be sitting in 7 to 10 years of like bad hockey. That's not enjoyable for anyone. But I feel like you have to do a lot of things poorly in order for that to happen. And to me, like right now, I think the Flames are in good hands with Craig Conroy, and they finally have a clear vision. And I think another point would be them sticking to that vision, and trading a guy like Mangiapane, it's a pretty big deal. It wasn't like he had requested a trade. Jacob Markstrom too. Like, we know that situation played out the way that it did, but they could have potentially just said, we're just gonna roll with it and ride this out. But Kevin Ball, you are a Calgary Flame. I think a top 10 pick, but closer to like the top as possible. I don't think that they will be drafting first overall. I think, again, a lot of things would have to go wrong for that sort of extreme to happen. And I don't think they're going to be bad enough to pick within the top 5. Maybe I'm wrong. And I don't want to say I hope I'm wrong, but at the same time, like, I do hope I'm wrong, because then that means potentially a better draft pick player too. So we'll just have to wait and see, because we haven't even touched preseason hockey. Players are slowly trickling into Calgary, and with the end of summer brings the return of hockey. And we're going to talk more about, why how, I guess, bad hockey brings good hockey. And we will be right back after this. But before we do move on, I do want to take a quick second here and talk to you about FanDuel. And you've heard us talk about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, a whole heck of a lot. And, well, we have something a little different to share with you, because right now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3 free week trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV subscription base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime you want. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sports book. Thanks, everyone, for making Locked On Flames part of your day. I greatly appreciate it. And if you have a second, feel free to leave a 5-star rating and a nice little review on iTunes. Definitely means a lot. Goes a long way. So we appreciate it. And you know what else we appreciate? Good hockey. And you're not exactly getting stellar hockey. No one's really lining up and banging on the doors to watch this team. Let's be honest. I think, and that's fine. Like, this is just like the darkness as you enter the tunnel. There will be light at the end of this tunnel, and we'll be talking about that in a couple seasons. It's not going to take forever. So rebuilds in hockey happen one way or another. It depends on the severity and the extreme. There are some teams that let it go for as long as they can and are able to, kind of restock and retool on the fly. Like I look at, again, Dallas is an extreme positive in this situation, right? Because they have such an excellent scouting department and just, they haven't finished poorly in the last few years. Like they've been a playoff contending team. So it's not as if, they're getting like top of the draft order here. So I feel like that's a good example of that. Or there's other teams that do start plugging away at a retool headed towards a rebuild. When the leaks and the cracks in the boat start to show themselves, and that's fine. It truly is all organizational and dependent. Not everyone has that same philosophy, and especially if you have a general manager change in between, it can be tough. And I think the biggest thing is having everyone on the same page, and that includes, the people that write the checks and sign your checks, because, at the end of the day, your job is to make the owners money. Like that's really what you're doing here. And no one wants to make less money. So that is that. But I look at the Oilers, right? Like they had that decade of darkness. Deserved, in my opinion. And then, they obviously kind of lucked out with a few draft lotteries and Connor McDavid. But, they were able to, took a little bit to assemble a true, like, good team around him. And then that's just kind of disassembled. But, they were able to make a run for the cup. And that's ultimately what you want to do. You have a 50-50 chance at the end of the season of winning it. So luck just wasn't on their side this time around. But then I think of teams like the Red Wings, right? Who also have had a significant playoff drought, but their moves throughout this time period have made, most of them have made sense, have been made with the intention of making the team better. And at the end of the day, the Flames aren't looking to get better immediately. They are looking down the road. And that's the mindset you have to keep, because if you're looking at this season and you're like, well, they didn't have anyone score 30 plus goals. Who on this team is truly capable of scoring 30 plus goals? I don't think Sharon Govich does it again. But, you are weathering this storm to kind of get into the thick of it and come out on the other side with those good draft picks, with, capitalizing on your draft capital and making the most of every off season and phone call and offer you get. I mean, it sounds that simple. Obviously, Craig Conroy is the one that gets paid the big bucks. But I think of teams that have just like completely butchered rebuilds. Like Buffalo, Ottawa. And then I think of teams like Nashville that have been in a similar situation to the Flames, but have been able to kind of just like weather the storm. And then they changed general managers. Barry Trotz got aggressive and said, we're doing this and we're going to do it right. And, obviously went out and signed some pretty big names in free agency, traded some players, and has had a very active off season. And this Nashville got better because they were in a position to get better. And that's where they were at competitively. It does not make sense for the Flames to go out and sign, I was going to say Elias Lindholm, because he was like the biggest like center available, free agency basically. No, they didn't need to re-sign Elias Lindholm. There wasn't a need to chase Stamkos. There wasn't really a point in doing that. It would not have like made any sense. Especially if you give him like a longer term deal. Like what are you doing there? You already have so many players locked up long term on expensive contracts. And I don't particularly see Stamkos fitting in with this current not as a locker room problem, but I feel like he's not on, like the Flames just aren't on that level of competitiveness that he's looking to play. And that's okay, because someday they will be. And he'll probably be retired by then, but that's okay because there will be someone new. Circle of life, right? And then New Jersey. Like I look at New Jersey, and shout out to Steph for helping me with this, because I forgot how long that this process has taken New Jersey, and they had like that one outlier year. And they're hoping to bounce back this year and to really make something of this roster that they've put together. And, you have Jack Hughes, who is one of the better players. You have Nico Herscher, who is, your captain, but also like a really, he brings the heat. So you just added Jacob Markstrom. They had a bunch of good off-season additions that made sense for them. And you have to go through those tough times. And I think of the teams like New Jersey who have been riddled with injuries. Oh my gosh, I feel like Dougie Hamilton has been hurt like quite literally, at least, if not every season, every other. And that's been tough because he did sign that very big contract there. So, you're hoping when he's back at full strength, he's back and helping the team, because that he is an impactful player. And even just like the Panthers, I think of how bad the Panthers were for a very long time. Like, I would turn on hockey games and it would be, 5 minutes before puck drop, and it truly looked like a college lecture hall, like a Friday morning after like St. Patrick's Day or something. Like, there was no one there. It was bare. And same thing with Carolina. Like, they've been able to build and get better to bring competitive hockey to that area. And it's the same thing in Calgary. They're going to need to take their medicine, take the lumps, and get there. Vancouver, like, I think Vancouver is an excellent example as well, because they have, I think, back in like 2020, like the bubble playoffs, that was like their last attempt, I guess. I don't know, but they started to like nosedive there, and then they've gone through the motions. They've made general manager changes. They've made many coaching changes, and have, been able to get players that push them over the edge and take them to the Western Conference Final. Their subtractions this offseason, that's a whole nother conversation. Go listen to Lockdown Canucks, but it's okay. This will get better. And you're going to have a lot of different things to watch for this year. And it's not just going to be, winning a game. Obviously, that's the ultimate goal. But if you're more interested in and invested in this rebuild, stick around, because we're going to talk all about what you're, what you can watch and what you can look forward to through the Flames' next 6 months of hockey. And we will be right back after this. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you are burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive today at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available for U.S. customers. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. You can follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto and find the show wherever you get your favorite podcasts, as well as on YouTube. This is the hard part, because it's like, why would anyone want to tune into very bad hockey? I just mentioned how no one was showing up to Hurricane games, as well as Panther games, when they were really bad. And I do not blame people. I do not blame people for not wanting to spend their hard-earned money on tickets to watch a bad product, especially in 2024 and 2025. Like, it's not, it's not the same as it used to be. But you have other things you're playing for, right? And like, there are so many different components and aspects of this game that will make a competitive team. And I think number one right here is Dustin Wolf. He is the biggest storyline heading into this season. He's finally getting his shot at being an NHL starter. Wasn't able to do that when Jacob Markstrom was here. And the team made it clear last year they weren't going to carry 3 goaltenders because it did not make sense. And he tore it up in the AHL and then answered the call when Dan Vladar went out and had season-ending hip surgery. He is the next star. He is what's going to draw people to the Flames. And goaltending is so fun and entertaining to me, because you're watching like these men in pads, like the Michelin Man, do all these acrobatic moves and save like pucks, or you're watching them give up the first goal on the first shot, depending on what night it is. But you can watch this and be like, is Dustin Wolf going to be one of the greats? I immediately think of Kipper. Everyone loves Kipper. And the Flames really haven't had a homegrown goaltender in a very long time. And obviously, Kipper was not one of them, but he really cemented himself here in Calgary. And it's so much so that, like, he quite literally has his banner in the rafters. And Dustin Wolf's career is just getting started, so we don't need to get that far ahead of ourselves. But what could 3-4 years down the line look like for Dustin Wolf? Are we looking at a situation where it's like, we cannot, let this guy go? He gotta just give him a blank check, because at that point he will have had numerous years of NHL experience, and you're gonna want to know, and he'll have had time to settle in. And I think you're gonna realize that a lot. Even throughout the season, I think it'll become more noticeable, and you'll see, a goaltender that you're like, oh, this is the guy they're talking about, that, that's been tearing it up in every developmental league since he was like 12. But I really think that you have, Pospisil and Zarry. I think those two are so entertaining as, off ice personalities, but as well as on ice talent. They are both so quick and so skilled, and both of them on a same line together was an absolute treat to watch. You're going to see Zarry get a shot at playing center more, which is something a lot of people have been calling for. And we did get to see it towards the end of last season, so we'll see if that makes a return. And you have enough young players that you should be looking forward to watching them play, because the more playing time they get now, the less like delayed their player development gets. I think of players that have just been stuck in a pipeline for years and years. Like, there's just never a chance for them to crack a roster for whatever the case or whatever the reason. And this is finally like happening for the Flames, and everyone should be excited for Dustin Wolf. Matt Coronato is more than likely gonna, be at the NHL level throughout the season, and like last season was his first pro year. What jump does he make from season 1 to season 2? And then you have, the kids that you just drafted, and you have prospects like Hunter Brustowicz, who, like, there's just so much fun and young talent coming up through the Flame system right now that it would be a shame to not watch and give them their flowers when it is deserved. And personally, I'm very excited to see where prospects like Sam Honzik, like Hunter Brustowicz, Perrick, like, what are their goals for the season? What are their standout moments? And, we'll just have to keep traveling down that path as the season rolls on, or begins and rolls out. But that will do it for me here on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Later this week, I will be joined by JD Young of Locked On Sharks to talk bold predictions and some kind of bold statements. And he'll get to weigh in on if he thinks they're true or false, and give us all we need to know ahead of what's in store for watching a young team. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday during the regular season, and we are just getting through the end of the off season with multiple shows a week. And I'll be back tomorrow, and remember to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, and I will see you later. Have fun. Have a good day. Stay safe. Stay warm. Stay cool. Stay dry. Stay hydrated. Stay moisturized. And be kind.